there were things that were unhealthy. And as KJ has said, on the practice field with Sherman and, but as far as compared to other coaches and how they kid glove their QBs and treat them and coddle them and all of it, very, very different with Pete. It's competition, man. And we love Drew. And he said that for a year and a half, man. We love Drew, and he believes that.
And he couldn't avoid saying it again as part of this answer.
Gino shows us every day that he's got what he needs to play good football, and that doesn't say that Drew isn't either. Drew's working his tail off, and he would love to get this chance to play and help his club. But Gino's doing fine. We just need to help him around him. Obviously, when we don't protect his any better than we did yesterday, and we can't run the ball, it's going to be hard, and it's going to go somewhere, and you guys are going to turn right to Gino. That's classic. This is how it goes.
And that's you guys. That's all fans, right? I mean, that's just the nature of the position. That's why they get paid $30 million this year or whatever Gino's getting in totality. So that's first and foremost is it's competition. I love Drew Lock. Drew's a talented dude, man. He can really throw the ball. He's a great athlete. When he came in the one game this year, scored a touchdown on the drive. And there's a lot of things that we do like about Drew. So that is totally consistent. The other part of this, and I think why in his answer where he said to you, it's going to be obvious, is all the other stuff. And that is the leadership. That is the competition every day, Salk. That is owning it. That's owning the podium, which for a quarterback is it's hugely important in your presentation and your presence on the team. And not for a second has he lost his team. And I say to you all the time, it's going to be as obvious as anything. Once you lose the locker room, you lose, you get players chirping, if there's more DK noise, if there's more other, some of these defensive guys start barking a little bit, we'll start to feel it. And right now, not getting any sense of that at all.
I don't think it's ever going to be obvious. I heard that from Pete yesterday, and my thought is,
well, maybe not for you. I mean, it will be for me.
I don't think Gino's ever going to make it obvious. I really don't.
I don't think he's going to flinch.
Well, I'm not saying he won't flinch, and I'm not saying that there won't be a time at which you need to make a move, but I don't think Gino's ever going to be so bad that you're like, we can't go on like this. Mm-hmm. He's not that bad. He's not. He might not be great. You might have somebody out there who's better, but Gino's not a terrible quarterback.
Well, if he keeps turning it over 2 or 3 times a game,
that will eventually make it obvious.
That will be the most obvious, and that is the one thing.
But I don't.
In the second half of last season,
I don't think Gino is going. I don't think he's a bad quarterback.
I don't think so either.
All those numbers you put out there in the 19-20 range. I know what bad quarterback play looks like when it's obvious. It doesn't really look like Gino has been this year because he's done a lot of really good things, and you've seen a lot of the accuracy, and there have been a couple of missed throws. I'm not like the world's biggest Gino supporter. I think far from it, but I don't think he's ever going to make it obvious by being so bad.
If he has 2 or 3 turnovers a game, Salk, if he has 2 or 3 critical turnovers against Washington this week, if he throws, a red zone interception and there's a fumble and it sets up a touchdown, and all of a sudden that game is super, super tight, or you were to lose it, then that's as obvious as it gets. I mean, you can't turn it over 2 or 3 times a game.
Say that.
I would like for us to get rid of about 2 plays a game, and get them out of there, and get the errors that turn into turnovers, however they come up. That's what we would love to see get out of our game. But the rest of it has to be in support of him, and he has to be the guy that is in the focal point of the football. But we have to do the stuff around him and make him good.
I think Pete looks at it, and based on everything I hear there and for all of these cuts and the whole interview yesterday, he sees an offensive line that's not always holding up. Charles Cross did not have a very good game on Sunday after his arrival the week before. Yep. He sees young receivers that are making lots of mistakes in communication in addition to running wrong routes, etc. He sees 2 older players, DK and Tyler Lockett, who, through no fault of their own, have been unable to practice much, which hurts not only their chemistry and communication with Gino, but even more so their ability to help the young players around him. And he sees a guy in Geno Smith that got it done last year, which gives him a level of trust, and has been, as you mentioned earlier, great in all the other aspects of being a quarterback, the leadership, the media, everything else that comes with it. Because of that, even a couple of turnovers, I don't think make it obvious, especially because the other guy waiting in the wings, that's his problem. He's great except for 2 plays a game.
Yeah, but that other guy got a little more creativity.
He does have that, and so
I'm not more running ability.
I am not saying there's no chance that something could change. There is. The fact that Pete answered the question is relevant. I don't think they are going to have an obvious solution. To me, this is more about what you end up doing in the offseason than what you do this year. But I also agree with you. If Geno continues to turn the ball over at that rate, at some point your hands are tied.
Yeah, I challenge that one a little bit because we live in I was in this men's group yesterday, and one of the questions was, what are you seeking to be great at still? It's like, well, yeah, I mean, my profession, my day-to-day, I don't have these goals for 2 years from now. I have a goal for tomorrow. Like, I'd love to have a great radio show. I'd love to have some great people to talk to. I'd love to have great entertainment with Salky and more and Justin. Then I'd love to have a great Utah-Washington game and be great at that and present things that have not been seen. I live like in the here and now. I think that's how the NFL lives, Salk. I honestly don't think, maybe John, sure, and the personnel guys, and as they map things out and cap-wise and draft pick-wise, yeah, they've got a bigger vision. But for anybody else, for Pete, for the coordinator, for Geno, it's like this week. In this week, I got to go play better. 9 touchdowns and 7 picks and a fumble. 9 touchdowns and 8 turnovers ain't good enough. Explosive plays ain't good enough.
Yeah.
Me being in the teens ain't good enough. Critical errors every game ain't good enough.
All good points. And the last thing I want to do is find myself on the defending Geno at all costs.
Well, sure sounds like you are.
Because that's not really who I am. I mean, I've never really been wild about the whole Geno Smith thing. I sort of begrudgingly accepted
But
it.
he's a good player, and there's equity, and he led you to the playoffs last year.
What I'm saying is I think that stuff matters to Pete.
Yep.
And I think it matters more to Pete than it might to you, me, or fans. Like that, I think that stuff matters to Pete.
Sure it does.
And
Trust.
If Drew Lock was a young player with, we've seen Drew Lock, and the exact knock on Geno is the knock on Drew Lock, right? Like he does it great, except for 2 plays a game where he's just completely inexcusable.
Yep.
And I don't know whether changing a voice is going to help some of the communication issues and play calling issues and all of that.
Big difference, though. Big difference financially.
Yeah, I know.
Big.
Yeah, but that's not changed this year.
It does not. But in your world, like if you want to look at the big picture and
eventually you get yourself into that spot. But if I'm Pete and I need to win a game right now. Yep. I'm 5-3. I was in first place a few days ago.
Yeah,
I'm dancing with the guy that brung me. That's for sure. Now, at some point, maybe you just got to make a change for change's sake. I don't think they're at that point after one horrible loss to Baltimore.